Good morning to all. Welcome to our politics class. Today we are going to learn a new chapter, chapter 4, Key Elements of Democratic Government. Students, what is democracy? Democracy is a government of the people, by the people and for the people. When people elect their government by the mean of election every 5 years, that type of government is known as democratic government, right? You know that the main feature of a democracy is that the people have the power to elect their leaders. So, in a sense of a democracy is ruled by the people. There are other forms of government also. Somewhere it is autocracy and somewhere it is dictatorship. In North Korea, they don't have any form of democratic government. It is run by one dictator named King John, and in some of the Gulf countries they have kings, they have sultans in their country, and they are not being chosen by the people. So, let us understand what are the key elements of a democratic government. Now see, what is the role of people in choosing their government? Maya Naidu, she is living in South Africa, is an 11-year-old South African girl and living in town of Johannesburg, was helping her mother clear up her old boxes. She found a scrapbook full of pictures and newspaper articles. There were many pictures of a young schoolboy of around 15 years of age. When she asked her mother who the boy was, she was told that he was called Hector Peterson. He had been shot by the police. Maya was shocked. Why? She asked. Her mother explained that South Africa was earlier governed by apartheid laws. What is the law of apartheid? Apartheid means separation on the basis of race, separation on the basis of your color. If you are white, if you are black, then you will be discriminated from one color with another. Okay? Like we have discrimination in our Hindu society on the basis of caste. Some are Brahmins, some are Kshatriyas, and some are lower caste. So, the upper class people, they discriminate and they don't allow the people of lower caste to enter their houses. So, this form will be known as discrimination. And similar things were happening in South Africa in earlier times. South African people were divided into white, black, Indian and colored races. According to the law, these races were not allowed to mingle with each other, to live near each other, or even to use common facilities. Students, you know you should value your democratic country because we are getting a lot of freedom in our country that no other country is getting this much of freedom. So, we should value our freedom, we should value our government, and we should value the rules and laws of our country and follow them. Okay? Now we see what the situation in South Africa was like when there was colonial rule. According to the law, in those times, an ambulance meant for white people would always be well equipped, while one meant for black people was not. There were separate trains and buses. Even the bus stops were different for black and white people. Non-whites were not allowed to vote. The best land in the country was reserved for the white people, and non-whites had to live on the worst available land. Thus, blacks and colored people were not considered to be equal to whites. That is, in short, the black people are outsiders in their own country. Okay? One black township was the Southwestern Township. Hector Peterson lived here, and he and his classmates joined the protest against learning the African's language in school. This was the language that the white spoke. Hector and other school students were being forced to learn this language, but they wanted to learn their own language, Zulu. The South African police beat up the protesters mercilessly and shot at the crowd. One of their bullets killed Hector. This was on 16 June 1976. Whose picture is this? You know, this is Nelson Mandela. He was the leader of the African National Congress. The African National Congress, a group of people who led the struggle against apartheid, and their most well-known leader, Nelson Mandela, fought the apartheid system for several years. He spent 27 years of his life in prison fighting for the civil rights. Finally, they succeeded, and in 1994, South Africa became a democratic country in which people of all races were considered equal. Nelson Mandela was the president of South Africa for 1994 to 1999. He was awarded Nobel Prize in 1993. Okay? Now, participation. Students, why do we have regular elections? Because only in this way the power of the government gets limited. Through voting in elections, people elect leaders to represent them. These representatives take decisions on behalf of the people. In doing so, it is assumed that they will keep in mind the voices and interests of the people. Okay? The government is elected for a period of 5 years in India. You know, all governments are elected for fixed periods. In India, this period is 5 years. Once elected, governments can stay in power only for that period. If they want to continue to be in power, then they have to be re-elected by the people. This is a moment when people can sense their power in a democracy. In this way, the power of the government gets limited by regular elections. Here you can see a picture. These are the images of elections of somewhere in India. Okay? Now, other ways of participation. People participating by taking an interest in the working of the government and by criticizing it when required. There are many ways in which people express their views and make governments understand what actions they should take. These include dharnas, rallies, strikes, signature campaign, etc. Things that are unfair and unjust are also brought forward. Okay? Newspapers, magazines and TV also play a role in discussing government issues and responsibilities. Another way for people to participate is by organizing themselves into social movements that seek to challenge the government and its functioning. Okay? Members of the minority community, Dalits, Adivasi, women and others are often able to participate in this manner. If a country's people are alert and interested in how the country is run, the democratic character of the government of that country will be stronger. Let us recap the session. In today's class, first we have learned apartheid laws, that means separation on the basis of race. South Africa is a country where apartheid was in practice a few years ago. South African people were divided into white, black, Indian and colored races. The apartheid laws did not allow these races to mingle with each other, to live near each other, or even to use common facilities. Then, participation. There are fixed periods for the governments that are elected, because only in this way the power of the government gets limited. In India, once the government is elected, it can stay in power for 5 years. Thus, people participate in the process of government by using their voting rights. Then, other ways of participation. Various ways in which people participate in the process of government. First point, through voting in elections, people elect leaders of their choice to represent them. Second point, people participate in the process of government by taking an interest in the working of the government and by criticizing it when required. Third point, people express their views through several ways and make governments understand what actions they should take. Fourth point, another ways for people to participate is by organizing themselves into social movements that seek to challenge the government and its functioning. Okay, thank you children. Have a nice day.